Yeah, good teams tend to capitalize on other teams' errors, but for the Falcons, they didn't really show a lot of errors last night. As you mentioned, showing a little bit of that emotion on their sleeve. They wanted to avenge that loss. Of course, it does stink to lose the MAC championship when you are that close. However, this is another tournament that the Falcons have won in past years and done pretty well in this tournament under Coach Tomich. And you go out and you put up a dominant first set, winning 25-12 against the Mastodons last night, going out and just absolutely demolishing the Mastodons. And it starts with Caitlin Meyer. Caitlin Meyer, who, again, an All-MAC first team selection, an All-MAC tournament team selection, has really started coming up and coming into her own, getting a lot of heat going behind her. Led her team last night in kills with 18. Caitlin Meyer is going to be a huge plug for this team, and if you can get the rest of this team going right behind her with Katie Kidwell, Petra Androva, Alexi Sauber, Isabel Marciniak, all of these team members, this is going to be a Falcons team that could run the table here in this tournament.
Yeah, it's certainly, you know, they are a talented squad coming out of the Mid-American Conference. They've got a huge test, though, here going up against the Texas Christian Horned Frogs, as they are currently, I believe it is 0-2 this season against Power 5 schools. That was Notre Dame in the first weekend of the season, and then they played Ohio State down in Bowling Green, Kentucky as part of the Western Kentucky Invitational that they were a part of. So they'll be looking to turn that tide here. And, you know, TCU's got some 6'3"ers, but at the same time, Ohio State, Notre Dame, they have 6'5"ers. It's a little bit different. Falcons have got their own 6-footers. It's going to be a hard-fought one for both sides, and this should be a really great one, I think, Zach.
Yeah, and again, while I'm talking to the TCU's SID, he was mentioning that typically in the Big 12, they got a lot of tall girls out there. You have Baylor, Kansas, all these really big schools have like 6'5", 6'6" tall players.
Mountains.
And there's nothing saying that TCU isn't tall. There's 6'3", 6'3", 6'3". A lot of tall players for this TCU team, and they're going to have the advantage on the blocking side of the ball. But it's going to be up to these Falcon hitters who have a lot of velocity off of them to go and just mimic a little bit and just gain a little bit of insight. It's going to be a very interesting game to see how Bowling Green and Coach Tomich went and game plan this game.
Yeah, and certainly, you know, you talk about TCU, I think the one thing that has really kind of hurt them in Big 12 play was their youth. They have a lot of freshmen on this roster. Falcons have a nice, decent mix. Let's see if the Falcons use that to their advantage here in this one. We're about a few moments away. We will step aside from the national anthem. When we come back, we will have your starting lineup to the first set play-by-play. This is NIVC Volleyball. Bowling Green, Ohio, getting ready for some exciting NIVC volleyball as we are hitting the round 2 as these Texas Christian Horned Frogs come into the Stroh Center to take on the Falcons of Bowling Green State University. It's Donovan Mann and Zach Smith bringing you all that exciting play-by-play action here today. Let us go ahead and get those starting lineups first for the visiting Horned Frogs.
For the Horned Frogs, number 11, Katie Clark, the 6'3" sophomore, is going to get the start tonight. The outside hitter from Arlington, Texas. Number 12, Julia Adams, another offensive hitter, 6'3", freshman from Plano, Texas. Number 13, Bella Swafford, the defensive specialist, another one of these freshmen for the Horned Frogs from Johnson City, Texas. Number 14, Mckenzie Nichols will be your setter tonight for the Horned Frogs, standing at 5'10", another freshman from Southlake, Texas. Audrey Knowles, number 15, will also be out there, another offensive hitter at 6'2", freshman from Mckenzie, Texas. Number 34, Sarah Swanson, a junior, the middle blocker, 6'2", from Elk Holm, Nebraska. And the libero will be number 7, Danny Dennison, standing at 5'8", the junior from Huntington Beach, California. The Horned Frogs are coached by Jill Kramer in her 5th season, with associate head coach Brian Wright in his 5th season, Trent Kirsten, the assistant coach, in his 4th season, and the director of operations, Mackenzie Keenan, in her 4th season.
And then for your Bowling Green State University Falcons, coming off the win against Purdue Fort Wayne last night, their starting lineup will look very similar with one additional change. It'll be Kirsty Shaw out there, the defensive specialist, 5'7", wearing number 2 from Brazil, Indiana, joined by senior setter, 5'10", from Lambertville, Michigan, Isabel Marciniak. Here is your change. Jessie Holly, wearing number 5, outside/right side hitter, will be out there, 6'2", senior from Upper Sandusky, getting the nod here to start today after she had herself a good match, and Jacqueline Askin struggled a little bit last night. At middle blocker, starting number 14, Nikolija Katnic from Belgrade, Serbia. 6 foot tall, she is a sophomore. Out there with Katie Kidwell, another middle blocker at wearing number 17 from Waseca, Illinois, and she is a junior. And then defensive specialist Taylor Haberlin, wearing number 19 from Temperance, Michigan, will be out there as well. She's a redshirt sophomore, standing at 5'6" rather. And then your libero, as always, will be number 15, Julia Walls from Brooklyn, Ohio, a 5'2" sophomore and a Mid-American Conference honorable mention for the 2019 season. Falcons are head coached by Daniela Tomic in her 8th season, joined by associate head coach Alex Del Piombo, assistant coach Allison Cook, and the director of operations, Caitlin Shortridge, is over there as well, helping out on the bench. Falcons will be in their orange jerseys here, with Walls wearing her black libero jersey. Then for the Texas Christian Horned Frogs, it will be purple jerseys today. What a combination. Purple and orange. I guess Clemson fans will be happy by that combination. And then the libero Dennison will be in her gray jersey today.
Players to watch for TCU tonight. Katie Clark, number 11. I'm sure we'll be saying her name a lot tonight. Again, moved from offensive hitter to that middle blocker spot, where she is averaging 1.24 blocks a set in her last 11 matches. Definitely a name to watch tonight for the Horned Frogs.
Yeah, and one thing also to note, Elan McCall is not in the starting lineup anyway. Don't know if she'll play. She is a little bit under the weather, coming from Texas where it's nice and warm. You have to come up now to this sub-freezing temperatures. It was not that bad of a day by Bowling Green standards in December, but still it is kind of cold out there. Maybe just caught a little bit of a quick bug. And so we don't know if she will be in the lineup at all, but she's not starting like she did yesterday. Falcons, Horned Frogs taking the court here. Getting ready for what should be an exciting one as we see the opening rotations. Katnic rotates out as Walls rotates in for the Falcons. Meanwhile, Danny Dennison already rotated in for the Horned Frogs. Back to serve will be Kirsty Shaw Falcons will be attacking left to right across your listening device, and we are underway here at the Stroh Center with that serve. Dennison receives. Here comes the set now, left side attack. That's Adams, and this one is immediately blocked by the Falcons, and Kidwell's in on that one. BG gets the opening point here in the NIVC round number 2. Adams on that attack gets credited with the attack error, and that was Marciniak and Kidwell blocking it together. Shaw serves again, received this time on the back line by Knowles. Here comes the right side attack by Swanson, who gets that one to fall in the middle of the Falcons' court. We're tied now at 1 apiece to start set 1. Back to serve is going to be Mckenzie Nichols. One of 2 setters getting some playing time here as Haberlin receives. Marciniak right at the net's going to go left side to Holly. Holly is going to get tipped here by Dennison as this one finds its way into the bleachers to my right. And that'll be a side out BG point. BG 2-1. BG now takes that 1 point advantage. So Jesse Holly goes back and rotates the serve.
And we mentioned that blocking power of TCU, but if you put enough velocity on it, it doesn't matter how hard you're blocking it, it will go out of bounds.
This one's going to be received there on the back line by Adams. This one's going to be hit right into the net there by Swanson. And apparently a Falcon, I think that was actually going to be a second touch, and then nobody touched it on the third one, just let it, or fourth one rather, let it fall for the Horned Frogs. So Falcons get an easy point there. It's now 3-1. And Holly will go back to serve again. Kind of a broken play there, though, by TCU. Holly received by Adams right up the net. Nichols sets this one in the middle and hit down by Swanson off of Walls and into the bench and right past head coach Danielle Tomich's head.
Yeah, tried to make an Odell catch back there, keep the ball in play.
Do you got some time for me to talk about and rant about wide receivers in the gloves?
I think we would need a whole nother radio show just to talk about that.
Berkeley Baker goes back to serve. Had herself a service ace and a service error last night. She's received by Shaw. Now left side attack. Meyer, and this one's going to go off of Nichols. And out of bounds past the back line. Side out BG 4-2. Bowling Green leads by 2. Falcons looking to come out here strong like they did last night in that 25-12 first set victory over Purdue-Fort Wayne. Kidwell up and over again. Received by Dennison. Cleanly as Nichols goes right side here on the attack. That was Waggle. Marciniak has to chase this one down so Meyer can get it over, but she cannot as she hits this one straight into the net. Again, Marciniak, credit her effort there to chase that one down, but not the highest of sets there, and Meyer unable to get it over. Side out TCU, they're back within 1, 4-3. And back to serve, Danny Dennison, this libero. Received by counterpart Walls. Marciniak left side to Meyer. Meyer will be dug out there by Baker. Right side and left side attack, rather. TCU can't get it to fall off the hands of Knowles. Now Meyer punches this one over what looked like a free ball, but Dennison ends up knocking that one into the bleachers, and now it'll be 5-3 as, Dennison kind of caught off guard by that one just a little bit, Zach, and that wasn't the hardest of hits by Meyer, but still just as effective.
No, went with the fist on one hand instead of using both hands just to try to bump it back up into the air. Not the best of serves.
Isabel Marciniak serves this one up over and over too far as that goes past the back line, and a service error there on Isabel Marciniak as it's now 5-4. We see a rotation here, and Bella Swafford comes back in to serve, replacing Ashley Waggle to serve and play on the back line. Right to left, the Horned Frogs at TCU attack. They put this one up and over from Swafford. Icabelli receives Marciniak. Right side attack. It's Petra Androva. Mistimes it, but she gets it over anyway. Nichols set up now. Left side. Attack there by Knowles. Dug out by Marciniak. Walls going left side here to Meyer. Meyer tipped at the net by a block, but the block finds its way down on the TCU side, and that will be a kill for Caitlin Meyer, doing her thing now with her third kill as the Falcons lead 6-4. And back to serve will be Taylor Haberlin. For the Falcons, left to right, she sends this one over. Received there by Dennison. Nichols going to set the right side attack here for Knowles, and Knowles trying to go cross court with it. With no touch, goes too far, and now BG gets another point on a Horned Frog error. That is going to be the Horned Frogs' third error as they're hitting negative 111 now with only 2 kills on 9 attempts. Haberlin sends this one up and over. Baker receives. Right side attack on this one is Clark. Back and forth we go. Marciniak digs. Walls now over to Holly on the left side. Received by Baker on the back line. Right side attack in the middle there. Correction. That is Clark. And Clark gets herself a kill as she finds an open spot in the back corner of the Falcons' part of the court. Right side from their perspective. 7-5. Horned Frogs back within 2. Side out, Horned Frogs is back to serve will be Audrey Naws. She gets this one up, she'll get it over. Walls receives kind of wildly, but Marciniak can't get to it to set it up for Holly on the left side. She's blocked, and Walls was already dropping back in defensive position, was unable to get back on that one quick enough and dive for it. But she kind of caught herself off balance. Still, credit the effort. She did try to get to it, though, Zach.
And right there on the block was Katie Clark.
Ball's received by Haberlin kind of low, and Katnich tried to keep it up, and then Marciniak tried to get it over, but Marciniak's hit ends up just sending it right into the net, as that really just kind of kept a straight line all the way to the net. Tied at 7 now here, TCU, still serving at the hands of Audrey Nall. Haberlin receives much more cleanly this time. It's going to be a right side attack here from Petra Indrova, and with some boom and power, she sends this one off a TCU player who could not dig it, and instead deflects it right into the stands.
Yeah, a lot of velocity off of the freshman's hands, and all TCU could do was try to keep it up in the air.
Ball sends this one up and over. Dennison receives. Chased down here by Nichols on the dive, and then flipped over for a free ball by Adams. Marciniak in system, goes to Kidwell in the middle, goes with the tip. It'll be dug out there by Nichols. Dennison, left side. Adams is tipped. Dug out by Walls. Marciniak going to the middle here again. Delayed swat there. Dug out by Dennison. Adams again. Adams goes cross court from the left side and finds the court inbounds. That'll be now tying us up at 8 here in set number 1 of this NIVC tournament match. Donovan Mann and Zach Smith will be bringing you all this action here today between the Horned Frogs and the Falcons. Serving now again is Clark. Received by Haberlin on the back line. Right side attack, and Drova, she's blocked. Keeps it alive, but Falcons had a delayed reaction, so the block works to perfection there for the Horned Frogs as they take their first lead in set number 1, leading 9-8. Adams and Swanson in on that block there. Back to serve, Katie Clark puts this one up. She'll get it over, received by Walls. Marciniak gonna go middle here. No, left side actually for Holly, and then Holly tipped off one of the Horned Frogs' arms. Side out BG, tied back up at 9. Falcons get a little bit closer.
And I love this communication by Katie Kidwell out there, calling a lot of, as a quarterbacker in football language, audibles out there on the court, just getting her team in the right position.
Shaw back to serve for the second time here in set 1. She'll get this one up and over. Received there by Knowles. Here comes the setup, right side attack by Swanson. And somehow this one finds its way down and side out TCU as the Falcons had a little bit of a busted play there, and there was nobody on the left side to try to get that one over. Back to go and serve for the Horned Frogs is Nichols again. 10-9 your score. Horned Frogs right to left. They serve and way too far. Nichols, as this one had a little bit of an awkward spin and just gave it a little bit of an uplift as it just soared out of bounds. Now we're tied at 10, side out BG. Jesse Holly goes back to serve. Haberlin will rotate out as Taylor Haberlin rotates out as Caitlin Meyer rotates in to play the front line. Nichols going to set this one left side attack there. It's blocked to the net by Waggles. Kept alive by Holly. Now right side. That's Kidwell. Kidwell goes with a tip, and unable to dig it out was Julia Adams. And BG will get themselves a lead now here at 11-10 in set number 1. Again, set 1 so crucial, going up 1-0. It's not the end-all be-all for the losing team, but it's so nice for either side to have that 1-point lead. Service ace here by Jesse Holly as that initial receive goes a little bit too wide, and unable to dig was Ashley Waggle.
And we mentioned Jesse Holly getting the start tonight, mostly over Jacqueline Askin, but Jesse Holly already making her presence felt. The one thing the Falcons needed was to find somebody opposite Caitlin Meyer as Jesse Holly gets a service error there. But Caitlin Meyer being the main offensive response for this Falcons team, trying to find another spark outside of there, and Jesse Holly so far has been that tonight.
Jesse Holly served that one right into the net to go from ace to error and give the side out to TCU. It's now 12-11. Falcons still up by 1, and back to serve is Berkeley Baker. She's going to put this one up. She'll get it over and received there by Icabelli along the back line. Marciniak in system now gets this one over to Meyer. Meyer received by Dennison. High dig is this one. Nichols in the middle now here to Swanson. Diving save there by Kirsty Shaw. Meyer, left side attack, and she finds the court with this one as she just splits Berkeley Baker and Danny Dennison right down the middle and finds an open spot along that back line.
A lot of credit to Kirsty Shaw getting down, just keeping that ball alive on a spectacular dig.
Back to serve will be Katie Kidwell. 13-11, Falcons up by 2. Gets this one up and over, and just a little bit too long on the service error. Just a bit outside. 12-13. Falcons up by 1 over the Horned Frogs. Back to serve Danny Dennison again. The libero gets this one up and over. Libero for the Falcons, and Walls receives. Now Meyer, left side attack, kind of hits it sideways and took a weird turn, but did not hit an arm of the Horned Frogs as that finds its way out of bounds. TCU keeps the ball on the serve, and now it'll be 13-13. We're tied up here in the first set of play. This one going to roll up in the net on the let ball, but we dug out by Walls. Now Meyer, left side attack, and after the block, it's kept alive by Shaw for a moment, but the dig by Shaw goes immediately towards the Falcon bench, and TCU will keep to serve again as it's now 14-13, and credit Waggle and Clark on the block there. Katie Clark once again continuing her way with the blocks. She's already got 2 in this one. Walls receives. Marciniak now going over to Meyer. Meyer, this time it's tooled off the block at the very top. And side out BG. We're tied at 14. Next point will send us into the media timeout. Petra Androva rotates in to play the right side up at the line, up front near the net, as Kirsty Shaw rotates out for the Falcons. Marciniak back to serve for the ladies in orange. Received by Baker. Here comes a setup in the middle, and that'll make it 15-14. And that'll bring us to the first officials timeout. We'll keep it right here. And so much like we saw yesterday with TCU, they got down early in this first set, but they have found a way to get it close and claw back into this one. Now it's up to the Falcons, I think, just a little bit, Zach, to keep it alive and keep it going. You know, just try to not let TCU do what they did to Miami yesterday, and that was come from behind and take the first set.
Yeah, and it all involves keeping your foot on the gas, and that's one thing that Coach Tomich is really good at telling her team is, hey, you're never really out of it. It doesn't matter if we're up by 10, down by 10. The Falcons always have their foot on the gas, and I think that's going to be something that's really beneficial. But much like that MAC championship game when the Falcons went and blew out Central Michigan in those first 2 sets and started to fall apart, the big question that becomes the concern is, will there be any fatigue? Yes, it's a tournament, so you're used to playing back-to-back nights, especially during the regular season, but especially coming out so dominantly last night against the Mastodons, do the Falcons have enough in the tank to get through?
That's certainly going to be, the Falcons did play one less set, and they certainly, I think, had the quote-unquote easier match yesterday when looking at it all in all by sets. Really only one or two sets last night for the Falcons was really easy going. Meanwhile, for TCU, it was a hard-fought match through and through. I mean, they walked away pretty easily with that third set victory, but sets 1, 2, 4, and 5 were just absolute barn burners, for lack of a better term, just absolute slugfest between them and the Redhawks. So, but they're not showing any sort of fatigue here. Their conditioning is well, and they are playing well here to start this one, and they now lead 15-14 as we come out of that officials timeout. And back to serve once again will be Swafford for the Horned Frogs.
And TCU's record may not say it, but TCU played a pretty difficult schedule. They are nobody to sleep on.
Icabelli receives this one. Marciniak now going to Indrova. This one will be tipped by the block with Dennison Diggs. Nichols, left side attack. She's blocked there. That was Knowles setting again. Knowles again. Left side. She finds some space on the back line where no Falcon defender was, and now it's 16-14. Falcons trailing by 2 to the Horned Frogs of TCU. Back to serve once again will be Bella Swafford. She gets this one up and over and down as Icabelli tried to go sideways to dig this one out and just deflects it straight down to the court. Now 17-14, Horned Frogs up by 3, and we'll see the Johnson City, Texas native serve again. Show this one up and does get it over. Meyer receives this time, and now going on that left side. Ford Meyer finds the back corner on the TCU left side. Side out BG as we see Holly and Haberlin rotate in. Haberlin will go back to serve for Meyer, and then playing up at the net for Icabelli will be Jesse Holly of the Falcons. Back to serve will be Haberlin once again. It'll be 17-15. Horned Frogs still up by 2. This one will be received there by Baker. Set up right side attack there for Clark. It'll be dug out by Walls. Now Marciniak sets up and Indrova goes with the tip. Nichols, left side. Knowles hits this one into the net. Nobody hit it for the Falcons. There was no touch at the net on a block. She hit it straight into the net. So when a TCU Horned Frog goes to dig, that'll be a 4th touch, and it'll be a 17-16 1-point deficit now for the Falcons as Haberlin serves again. See by Dennison. Middle attack here for Clark, and Clark off of a touch, goes out of bounds on the Falcons' left side. Side out TCU, they're back up by 2, 18-16.
And quick update for you, for both teams, the winner of this game will go on to face the winner of Colgate Boston College versus Tulane. Colgate is currently up 18-12 over Boston College in the first set.
This one heading towards media row off of a Horned Frog, actually right in front of me. I was ready to make a play on it, but off of a Horned Frog on the attack on that left side, off the block, going all the way cross court and landing out of bounds literally right in front of me. I should have made the play on that. Nah, I couldn't have made it. I'd have to reach over the bench.
And I'm sure that's interfering too, because it's still in play.
This is true. 18-17, Falcons down by 1. This one was served up and over. Here comes the attack from Adams. Somehow kept alive there, so Haberlin can get it over. Marciniak bumped it to Walls, who just got it up, and now a one-handed deception dump there by Mckenzie Nichols gives TCU the 2-point lead right there in the middle of the net. She put that one down with the one hand, did the setter. 19-17, TCU up and gets the side out. This one served up and over there by Clark, received cleanly by Walls. Marciniak going left side here to Holly. Holly goes with the tip, on a knee, down goes Knowles to receive it. Here comes the setup, and blocked was Adams, kept alive though by the Horned Frogs. And now punched over here by Adams, received by Walls. Marciniak going left side again to Holly. Holly tipped once at the net, and then again by Knowles, about right back after the net, and then continues its way out of bounds. So BG will once again get back within one. It's 19-18. We'll see if they can't tie it up here with this serve from Kirsty Shaw.
And Katie Clark, even on her just free balls sent over, have a lot of velocity off of her hand.
Kirsty Shaw puts this one up and over. It'll be received by Dennison low, and it is kept alive by Nichols. Left side attack for Adams. She's blocked, and it's Marciniak and Kidwell on that one. We are tied at 19 here at the Stroh Center in this NIVC Round 2 matchup between Falcons and Horned Frogs. Back to serve once again, Kirsty Shaw. She'll get this one up, and it will get over the net, received by Dennison. Here comes Nichols to set up the middle attack there by Knowles. Dug out by Haviland. Marciniak runs to get to it, but I think that was actually Kidwell that set that one up for Holly. Nichols, once again, Adams sets this one up. Shaw, bad dig, but run down there by Marciniak. Bumped over for a free ball by Haberlin. Attack here, left side, right side rather, by, I believe that was Swanson, gets the kill off of a touch, I believe, on the back line by Julia Wall. Side out TCU. They're back up by 1, 20-19, and they win the red zone race.
Keyword race. Both teams are playing a really good offensive game.
Back to serve will be Nichols once again. Puts this one up. Slow blooper, but it is received by Walls. Marciniak going here now to Kidwell on the right side. Comes up with the attack and goes cross court to find the right back corner of TCU's court, and we're tied at 20 here now. Much like it'll be here in a couple of weeks, 20-20 is your score. Back to serve, Holly up and over. Received by Dennison. Chased down there by Nichols. Middle attack here by Knowles. Goes with the tip. Easily received there by Kidwell. Marciniak going right side here to Kidwell. Off the net. Dug out by Nichols, but Nichols' dig goes across the net, and then on the wrong side of that far side pin. And that will now be a 21-20 lead as the Falcons have come back to take the 1-point lead after trailing by 2 multiple times. Timeout, Jill Kramer and the Horned Frogs.
We saw Katie Clark earlier with a little bit of a fade off to the right and a slam down into the court. Katie Kidwell goes back to back, does the same move, says, no, you can't take my move from me, not in my court, and puts that same ball right on the same placement. It's such a hard thing to pick up if you're an opposing team. Just Katie Kidwell comes up, slowly listing to the right, and just goes opposite power right back into the court, which is so hard to do because you have to have that perfect amount of control and velocity, which Katie Kidwell brings to the table.
Yeah, certainly, that's, Kidwell, she came into this conference and came to the Falcons early as a middle blocking, really only as a specialist up at the net. She had some offenses kind of raw in that area, though. She is really over this past season, though, especially developed into a great secondary option, not just in the middle, but also on that right side for the Falcons. And she goes back to serve now more this season than she did the last few seasons. She is really coming to her own, and the Falcons do have one more year of her playing that middle blocking position / right side. She's a do-it-all kind of personality, and she's a hard worker and a tough, mentally, competitor. That's what she is, and that's what the Falcons look for when they go recruiting. Katie Kidwell is the definition of a competitor. Meanwhile, on the other side, you got to look at Katie Clark, too. She is also the definition of a competitor. She's got 3 kills on her 5 attempts, hitting .600, already 2 blocks to her name. she'll be looking to continue to add to that stat category as she and Kidwell, a couple of middle blockers, go head-to-head. Back to serve once again for the Falcons, Jessie Holly. 21-20, Falcons up by 1. Received here by Dennison along the back line in the middle of the court. Attack here by Adams, goes too far with no touch. And now the Falcons are up by 2 here, 22-20 in set 1, trying to go up 1-0 and take this first set victory here in the round 2 of the NIVC. Holly again. Dennison served up and over here now. It's going to be on the attack in the middle there. It was Waggle, and Waggle puts that one down for a kill.
Yeah, already a lot of errors here in this first set. 11 errors combined between the two teams, 6 by TCU, 5 by the Falcons.
Difference is by the Falcons, they have 3 more kills at 14-11. They are hitting 310, TCU hitting 147 as Falcons have done it on a fewer attempts. Berkeley Baker puts this one up and over now. It's received here. Marciniak gets this one over to the right side attack by Kidwell. Left side attack for the Horned Frogs is Knowles, received there by the Falcons. And left side now, Meyer from Marciniak, tipped by the net block, and then Swanson keeps it alive. Bumping this one over for a free play. That was Waggle upon the right side of the Horned Frogs. Left side attack here from Meyer. Diving save there by Baker. Left side, Knowles. Meyer digs, Walls chases it down, gets this one up and over. Meyer gonna get this one over with the tip off of Nichols. Continuing to chase it down is Baker and kept alive, put over for the free ball. And it's gonna be a double touch committed by Swanson there in the middle by the Horned Frogs. 23-21. And the Falcons are up by 2 here, 2 points away from a set 1 victory.
And that was a good little exchange by the Falcons. And Caitlin Meyer, great adjustment already in the air. Ball a little bit in front of her, and instead of going with the power on the right hand, tips with the left.
Back to serve. Kidwell, received by Dennison. Nichols coming right here at the net in the middle. That on the attack and getting the kill there is Waggle off of Holly and into the stands where the pseudo-student section goes during this tournament, as the normal student section is been compressed so they can have scouting tables behind the court.
Nobody scouting tonight, though.
Nobody to scout. Dennison, received there by Walls. Marciniak going over here left side. Myers, she's tipped, dug out by Katnich up at the net. Again, left side, Myers blocked again, and this time it does fall. And on that one was Clark, and she had some help over there. And timeout Falcons, as we're now tied at 23 here, racing to the end of this set 1. And this has the feeling of one that could go extra serves.
This also has one that reeks of 5 sets. It's already a pretty competitive, pretty competitive game. Get you a couple updates on stat leaders. Leading the game in kills right now is Caitlin Meyer. She's got 6 kills on 16 attempts, hitting at a 125. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but she currently leads the entire game. So both teams in total attacks taken at 16. Next closest behind her is Knowles of TCU, has 10. Leading the way in assists is Isabel Marciniak, has 13 assists on the game. Next closest player is Nichols of TCU at 11. And then in digs, it's actually a 4-way tie. Kirsty Shaw, Julia Walls, Dennison, and Baker all have 4 digs apiece.
The Horned Frogs continuing their way. Some of their better hitters, especially Adams, is hitting in the negatives. That's not what they like to see. Meanwhile, for Falcons, you mentioned Kayla Meyer only hitting at 125. Those 4 errors, she's committed most of the Falcon errors, but TCU is keeping themselves in this one for one reason only. That 4-team block total right now. They have 14 blocks in this set. Most of them brought to you by Clark, and she's been assisted all 3 times that she's gone up for it. But still, Clark keeping them in this game with her defense, and we told you to keep an eye out for her, and she's already on her way to another monster evening. And back to serve Dennison.
Big point right here, because winner gets set point in here in this first set.
Dennison, 23-23, we are tied. Holly receives. Marciniak going over left side to Meyer. Meyer beats the block, this time received by Baker. Nichols, left side. It's going to be a ball handling error here on the double touch by Nichols, trying to set that one up there for Knowles upon the left side. Actually, correction, she was setting it up for Clark on the left side. Falcons have set point here in set number 1 of this NIVC round 2 matchup. Marciniak back to serve, up and over, received by Dennison. Nichols setting this one up in the middle there for Clark, and this one will land just inbounds, side out TCU. We are going to extra serves. Last night's set 1 between TCU and Miami both went to extra serves as well. TCU walked away, I believe it was 27-25, the final score in that first set.
It was.
Back to serve. Swafford's received by Holly. Meyer thought there was a tip. There was no tip ruled, and I think we're going to see timeout called here. Yes, by Danielle Tomic. Is now it's set point TCU, 25-24. They're up by 1, trying to get to 26-24 before the Falcons can tie it up.
And it's important that that timeout was taken. One timeout is now left on the board, and it belongs to TCU. You don't get extra timeouts just because you go to extra serves, which is very important to note. It can be 30 more serves. It can be 2 more serves. It's very important that you use that timeout. If it goes
30 more serves, I quit. I'm just kidding. I would love actually to see that one time. 30 serves. That'd be the most thrilling volleyball first set you've ever seen in your life.
What? So the final score on that would be what, like 55, 54 at this point?
Something like that. Yeah, something like 56, 54, something like that. That'd be killer.
The math is there. I
haven't taken a math class since like 6 years. So
your voice would just get really hoarse after all that play-by-play.
You know me. I can get excited. You go 30 extra serves without somebody winning. You're probably right. You wouldn't hear me after the first set.
You'd be wheezing to the finish.
I'd be like, fired. Yeah, but I get what you say. Boy, my dad would be disappointed in me, though, in the math, because my dad's a math teacher. I'm sure I'm about to get a text being like, yeah, do your math, son.
Yeah, the big story of this game right now in this first set is errors, and 14 total errors between both teams, 7 apiece. And typically you see that in the first set, as a lot of times you're going and just trying to figure out the other team. It's a lot of, did my game planning actually work towards your team? And right now, the errors are hurting both teams. You mentioned it early on. Bowling Green was staying alive based off its hitting percentage. They've cooled down, hitting at a 189, where TCU is hitting at 154 with 4 total blocks.
So back again, it's Swafford, and she will get the set point there after the service ace, and Holly cannot get down to dig that one out. So 26-24, TCU battles to take set 1 here against the Falcons in this matchup in the second round of this tournament.
And TCU did end up winning that first set in extra serves 27-25 yesterday. Did go on to win, but Miami, Ohio came back. So it's going to be interesting to see what Coach Tomic can do against this team to come back.
And, the Falcons, they will battle back, much like the Red Hawks did, but still, got to credit the effort by both sides, I think. And meanwhile, going over to that other NIVC tournament matchup, the one that will determine who faces either the winner or who faces the winner of this one. Colgate currently leads 1-0 as that second set gets underway. But here at the Stroh Center, TCU leads 1-0, and we will step aside here for a moment. You are listening to NIVC Volleyball.
You already kind of started. We're back out here at the Stroh Center. for a great game of volleyball.
I'm just a lowly color guy this set.
It's all good. Zach Smith, I'm joined alongside Donovan Mann here in this second set of the NIVC tournament hosted in Bowling Green for this one. It's only one portion of the bracket. It's the bottom right portion where we have the Bowling Green Falcons taking on the TCU Horned Frogs. TCU ran away with that first set after it was actually a pretty solid set to get going. They won that one 26-24.
Yeah, and I'll tell you the biggest factor for the Falcons in dropping that one was, one, the aces by TCU. Actually, sorry, the two biggest factors. One, the aces by TCU, and the Falcons' biggest weapon was also their own worst enemy, with Meyer having 6 kills and 5 errors, not what she's expected to have.
Katie Clark's serve is sent over. It's going to go into the pole. It's going to be side out for the Falcons as Jessie Holly, again, I don't want to say the word surprise, but almost a surprise start tonight over Jacqueline Askin, is back there to serve. Holly's serve from right to left is dug out cleanly by TCU. Kill attempt there by Swanson is right there off of a tip, and it's going to be a point for the TCU Horned Frogs. Back to serve is Mckenzie Nichols, the setter, freshman. A lot of freshmen on this TCU squad. Nichols to be serving, right hand up, over, dug out by Ikebelli. Marciniak sets up for Kidwell, who gets it off of a tip, off of the libero Dennison, and it goes too far. TCU can't get there, point for the Falcons. Katie Kidwell will go back there to serve for the Falcons in the bottom right portion of the box as Walls will check out for Lexi Sauber, getting her first action of the evening. Katie Kidwell. Straight to Dennison. Gets set up there for Waggle. Sent right back to Kidwell, who gets just a little too much on the dig. Goes right back over the net. We are tied again.
Yeah, the move here to Sauber. She's replacing Katnich in the rotation. Nothing really statistically that Katnich did wrong. Just her blocking technique was not the greatest. She didn't really time them all that well. So they're going to go to the freshman Sauber here. But you could see Katnich back in this one here. It's just kind of one of those things looking for a spark.
Walls gets it straight to Dennison. Dennison gets it set up and sent over just on a little bit of a free ball off of a tip, but right in front of the Falcons. And it's going to be another point for TCU. Credit that one to Audrey Knowles.
And another thing, too, just this move for to Sauber. I think, go back, she's a little bit better offensively as of now compared to Nicolia Katnich, but still both can provide you sparks, but I think Sauber right now is a better option.
Meyer blocked at the net there by Ashley Waggle, the junior, redshirt junior for the TCU Horned Frogs, 4-2 in favor of TCU. I
tell you what, I'm surprised Caitlin Meyer's still out there. We've seen Daniela Tomic not be shy about going to the bench when a player struggled, and Meyer's getting blocked left and right. She is at a 0 hitting percentage with 6 kills, 6 errors.
Berkeley Baker's serve tipped at the net, kept alive by the Falcons. Julia Walls gets out of the way, though, of that attack by TCU.
Yeah, I don't know how she managed to get herself out of the way of that one. She was midair, and she literally just made herself as small as possible. She shrank her arms in, her legs in. She's like, oh, I got to touch this one, and it sailed right over her head, luckily.
Marciniak serve up and over, dug out by TCU, set up there for Knowles, and she's going to go too far. Point for the Falcons. We are all tied up back at 4. And we've seen this a lot tonight, a little bit of runs by both teams. I expect extra serves in this one as well, as Marciniak back there to serve again. Sends up, over, dug out kind of awkwardly by Baker, but kept alive. Blocked in the net by Katnich, but out of bounds.
So close, too, to being in bounds right there, but it's actually Sauber who got up and blocked that one away, but boy, just a little bit too far to her right.
Back there to serve is Danny Dennison, the libero. Up, over, dug out by her counterpart, Julia Walls. Set up for Androva with velocity, blocked to the net, but kept alive by the Horned Frogs, set by Nichols. Tip over, dug out cleanly by Meyer. Marciniak sets up for Meyer. Meyer, cross court to Baker. Tip drill, works to perfection. Mckenzie Nichols on a little bit of a drop move, gets the ball directly in front of all the Falcons, right in the center part of that right side of the court. And it will be 6-4 as Dennison will serve again. Dug out by Walls. Marciniak sets up for Androva, who is blocked at the net. Lands inbounds. And now we're going to see Macy Linney check in Coach Tomic very adamant about getting her in. Petra Androva will trot out.
Yeah, trying to find some sort of offensive spark here right now. Again, Petra Androva now hitting negative with 1 kill, 2 errors on 6 attempts.
Myers' kill attempt is out of bounds. And point Bowling Green, and we're going to get a very, very early timeout by Coach Tomic. TCU is up 8-4 and up as in terms of sets, 1-0.
Yeah, I don't think this was something the Falcons were going to be able to figure out on the court without this timeout. Right now, they cannot seem to locate their kills at all. Their blocks are going out of bounds. They just kind of need to go back into that timeout huddle and refocus themselves, get kind of back into this one before it becomes too late. And again, when the bleeding starts, you got to stop it before it really gets going. What I'd say is you see those trickle of blood on your arm, see the trickle of blood start, that's when you grab the bandage and immediately slap it on. You don't wait for that gash to get larger, get infected, get worse. I'm going to stop with this gross analogy, but all in all, the Falcons, they just needed to keep this one focused because right now they are incredibly hurting themselves with their bad blocking attempts and their errors. And they've got 3 errors right now, only 2 kills on 8 attempts. Not good. Their biggest weapons in Androva and Meyer are both hitting negative right now as Myers now committed her 7th error. I would not be shocked to see maybe Jelianese Torres come out and replace her on that left side. Maybe Jacqueline Askin, she can play left side. But right now the Falcons need to find an answer offensively because right now defensively, the Horned Frogs have really figured out Caitlin Meyer.
Of the last 5 points, 4 of them have been scored by the TCU Horned Frogs. They break their huddle. They come back out. Bowling Green is coming out of their huddle as well. And the other thing I want to mention is this veteran leadership of the Falcons over there on that sideline. Before coaches even joined the huddle, Marciniak was over there talking with her team, getting the team riled up, trying to get them going. Back to serve for TCU is Danny Dennison yet again. Serve up over dugout by Walls on a low dig. Marciniak sets up for Sauber. Much needed point there for the Falcons. Back within 3, side out for the Falcons. Jesse Holly and Taylor Haberlin will check back in for Meyer and Icabelli.
And yeah, that's exactly what the Falcons needed coming out of that timeout. Good find there for Lexi Sauber right there in the middle. Just put that one down with the one hand. Great find there by Marciniak.
Haberlin's serve tipped off the net but lands. And Katie Clark just sends it right back. Again, moving to that middle blocker spot has been really good for her, really finding her groove, having a great night right now. 5 kills on 7 attempts. She's hitting at .714 right now with 4 blocks.
Yeah, she's definitely looking like a player that has no mind of stopping it, just 100% every play. Really great play by her.
Lexi Sauber on another kill attempt, tipped at the net, set up, and that kill attempt by Katie Clark is no good as it goes right into the net. They're going to mark 4 hits.
The broadcaster's jinx, you know. It happens. I'm sorry, Clark. I'm sorry, Katie Clark.
Lexi Sauber's going to go ahead check out in favor of Katie Kidwell. Julia Walls back to serve. Walls up over, low dig there, and kept alive. Walls gets it to Marciniak to Jesse Holly. Tipped at the net, goes out of bounds. Point for the Falcons. And again, Jesse Holly really providing a spark for the Falcons, getting the start tonight. That's her 5th kill.
Yeah, now we start to see, you know, how TCU came back after going down early in that set. Now we're seeing the Falcons start to pull that off.
Walls, her serve is dug out by Baker, kept alive. Walls, and Holly will send it over for a free ball. Dug out by Dennison. That attempt blocked at the net, kept alive for the moment by Marciniak and Katie Kidwell, but to no avail as it goes out of bounds. 10-7 is your score in favor of TCU.
And on that play there, we saw when Jesse Holly bumped it over the free ball, that's one of the things that, as a casual fan, it kind of frustrates you. She sometimes is not willing to go a little bit risky when she attacks. She's a lot more safer, but as a analyst of the game, you know that's the smart play for her. Now we see her get this kill here on the left side as she gets her kill number 6. She actually is tied now in the match lead in that category with Caitlin Meyer. She's hitting it much more efficiently, though, with only that 1 error on 11 attempts. She's hitting .455, much better than Meyer is, who's hitting negative .045.
Kirsty Shaw in to serve for the Falcons. Serves up, over, and dug out cleanly by TCU. Set up Nichols. Gets it to Katie Clark. Marciniak for Jesse Holly. Dug out. Tip drill is no good. Goes into the net. Not touched by a Falcon. Double touch is the call. And Falcons back within 1.
Another TCU error, and again, that's part of this Falcons run is the errors committed by TCU. Some of them have been forced, some of them have been unforced. That right there is the pressure of the block.
Kirsty Shaw, low dig there by Dennison, kept alive. And the Falcons keep it alive themselves. Marciniak for Holly. Holly is dug out by Swafford. Kept alive, Marciniak. Holly tries again. Dennison keeps it alive. Set up for Nichols. Across court to Julia Adams, dug out by Haberlin. Marciniak, Katie Kidwell on the dive. Good dig by TCU. Yet again, Julia Adams dug out by Haberlin. Marciniak for Holly. I think they're going to rule a double touch on Marciniak, as that is the call. It is 11-9 in favor of TCU.
A very rare double touch, too, by Marciniak. She doesn't commit those kind of ball handling errors often, and she hates it when she does, and she'll correct that, but still. A free point for TCU on that one.
Katie Clark out there to serve from the free throw line. Serves up, over, dug out by Walls. Marciniak sets up for Holly. Tipped at the net, and it's going to find the ground. Jessie Holly now leads all scorers with 7 kills. And going to get a side out. Katie Clark will check out for TCU. And coming in to serve, or coming out will be Taylor Haberlin for the Falcons. Meyer checks in. Jessie Holly to serve. Up, over, low dig. Kept alive by Nichols, sent over by Adams. Jessie Holly, bad dig, and it will go under the net, 12-10 TCU, as the Falcons just try to get over that little bit of a 1-point hump. Icabelli comes in for Jessie Holly.
Yeah, this score right now, though, looks a lot better than it did just a few points ago. You know, you'd rather be going back 2-1, 2-1, 2-1, and eventually you'll find a way up, as opposed to being, you know, as we see the service ace here by Nichols. Service error there by Nichols, as opposed to, you know, being, you know, 7-8, 7-8, 7-8, 5-6, 5-6, whatever. Falcons, the communication has been a lot better since that timeout. Offensively, they've been executing a lot better since that timeout, and defensively, they've been on point.
Kidwell to serve, up, over, dug out cleanly. Nichols sets up, blocked at the net by Sauber and Marciniak. Dennison sets up for Adams, and it will sail out of bounds off of a bad dig by Katie Kidwell. Little slow getting up, but nothing that's going to stop her at all. And now Kidwell will check out in favor of Julia Walls, the libero, to come back in. To serve for TCU is Berkeley Baker from the top left portion of the box, 13-11. Baker up, over. Kirsty Shaw keeps the ball in the air. Marciniak to Meyer, across court, dug out by Baker. Nichols sets up for Swanson, kept alive for the moment, and it is 14-11 now, 3-point lead for the Horned Frogs. And back to serve again is going to be Berkeley Baker. Berkeley Baker up and straight to Kirsty Shaw. Marciniak, deception move, works to perfection. Gets right in front of Baker, and the Falcons get back on the board. First time we've seen that deception move by Marciniak.
Yeah, that one really actually is the second time she's gotten a kill. I think the first one, though, was a one-hander, and that one really caught me off guard, too. I thought all the way that was a set. It was so quick, so snappy, greatly executed there by Marciniak.
Marciniak gets it up and over, and TCU responds, gets it to Walls. Marciniak, touch kill by Sauber. It's really taken advantage of those block attempts by TCU. TCU already at 6 blocks to just 2 by the Falcons, going for the soft stuff instead of velocity, and it's paying off. Marciniak to serve yet again from the top right portion, up, over, dug out by Baker. Nichols sets for Swanson, soft stuff, Walls. Marciniak, Meyer with the kill right into the ground. We have a tie game, and I'm wondering if that'll prompt a timeout. I don't think we're going to see it, though, from head coach Jill Kramer.
That's funny. She looked at the second official like she might have, but, you know, Falcons, she might just try to let her Horned Frogs kind of weather this storm here.
Marciniak over, dug out by Baker. Nichols, soft stuff, kept alive by Meyer. Joust at the net, won by TCU. Meyer keeps it alive again. Marciniak, that one to Macy Linney. Julia Walls keeps it alive. Marciniak again. Meyer, kill attempt is good, off of Baker's hands. And will we see the timeout now? Yes, we will. 15-14 in favor of the Falcons off of a 4-1 run here in the last 5 points.
And Meyer has really come out smooth here after that timeout. You know, she mentioned she struggled a lot in that first set, struggled early on in the second set. Now she's starting to really find that offensive groove. And, you know, part of that is now because the Horned Frogs have to worry about Jessie Holly. Jessie Holly leading this, or second in this match right now with 7 kills. And she's doing it much more efficiently, hitting 400. But volleyball is a game that involves runs. It involves weathering storms. And you know, as a head coach, it's really challenging to know, okay, what storms can we weather on the court and what storms do we have to maybe break ourselves up here? What kind of momentum do we have to kill with a timeout? When do we have to kill those storms via a timeout? And right now, I think, you know, you mentioned maybe we'll see the timeout when it was tied 14-14. I think Jill Kramer was saying, well, maybe we can weather this storm on the court. Then she said, no, we can't. You go back when it was, I believe, 8-4 and Daniela Tomic called her timeout. She immediately said, yeah, she knows her team so well. She said, this is not a storm we can weather without a timeout. She said, I know my team right now, they're playing a little bit too jazzed up, playing a little bit too in their minds instead of on the volleyball court. They were just playing a little bit too much in the brain and not on the court. So she made a smart timeout. She refocused her team saying, hey, technique, fundamentals, and just get out of y'all's way. And what have they done since then? They played clean volleyball. They now have 10 kills, no errors since that timeout. That is a huge part. So that's 7-0 in that when you compare that category since that timeout. It was a great timeout. We'll see action here now, see if they can't keep it up.
Marciniak up and over. Baker keeps it alive. Meyer sends it back, dug out by Dennison. Blocked at the net that time, and TCU's going to tie it all up back at 15. And back to your point, for most of the year, at least during the MAC championship and early in this NIVC tournament, Caitlin Meyer has just been so solid for these Falcons. They've been looking for that second kill player, and Jessie Holly's provided it tonight. Marciniak sets up for Meyer, tipped at the net. Sauber just has to flip it over. Walls keeps it alive. Marciniak, Meyer, dug out by Dennison. Nichols sets up cross court for Audrey Knowles, and BG will not get that point. 16-15, 2 straight points out of the timeout by TCU.
Well, to answer your little statement there, they had it and then she got hurt. It was Petra Androva. She was the primary option. Then she got dinged up, so they kind of had to back off with her. She didn't play for most of Mid-American Conference play, so that's kind of where that went. Now they've been searching for options ever since.
Meyer is blocked at the net. Linney can't get there, tipped. And it's going to be 17-15 in favor of TCU. Back to serve yet again is the libero, Danny Dennison. Dennison, with her right hand, sends it over. Dug out by Walls. Marciniak will set up for Sauber, who is blocked at the net. And it's going to be, actually, they're going to rule it in, point BG.
It was on the TCU side, and, you know, don't blame me for not catching that. I didn't catch it either. I had to watch the hand signals, and, yeah, it went straight down like a bullet. And it's almost one you might want to challenge it sometime because it's like, well, that one went straight down. What side did it really go on?
Haberlin to serve for the Falcons up over, dug out awkwardly by Baker. Kill attempt by Clark is successful, gets it just inside the line. 18-16 for TCU. Back to serve for the Horned Frogs is Swanson from Elkhorn, Nebraska, to send up over, and it is long. Well, not long, it's just short and out of bounds.
Just a little bit inside, just kind of missing that zone right there. It's just, use a baseball analogy, just missed a little bit on the inside part of the zone.
To serve the libero, Julia Walls. Sends up, over. Great dig there by Baker. Gets it to Swanson. To Dennison, who sets up for her teammate and gets it in. Side out TCU. Baker will check out. And number 12, Julia Adams, another one of these freshmen from Plano, Texas, will come on in. To serve is Knowles. Sends up and over, dug out by Haberlin. Marciniak gets it to Kidwell. Tipped at the net. And the Horned Frogs will send it over. Dug out by Walls. Haberlin for Holly. Has to keep it alive. Dennison digs for Nichols. Tip drill by Clark. And just where the Falcons could not get it. 20-17 as the Horned Frogs win the battle to the red zone yet again. To serve, Audrey Knowles. Dug out by Haberlin. Marciniak has to keep it up. Holly just had to punch it. Bad dig, bad set, and unfortunately bad kill attempt. 21-17, and Coach Tomich will use her second timeout.
Yeah, all those miscues that they managed to fix in that first timeout, they all came back there. Offensively, they're not looking sharp again. They're not winning the serve and pass. TCU is really dominated in that category. And just all in all, this set has been all Horned Frogs all day, following the beginning of the set, then following the timeout.
Yeah, 1-0 in favor of TCU right now. The score is 21-17. Zach Smith, Donovan Mann here on the call for you here in the Stroh Center in Bowling Green, Ohio. Give you a quick stat update. Again, still leading the game in kills is Caitlin Meyer, has 8, but hitting 8 for 29, which is not very good. 8 errors. And then the next closest player is either Jessie Holly of the Falcons with 7 kills or Katie Clark, who is very quietly having a great game. 7 for 14, 1 error, hitting 429, and 5 total blocks. Blocks, big factor right now. 7 total blocks for TCU. Just 2 by these Falcons. 1 ace to 4 by TCU. And currently the Horned Frogs in this set are hitting at a 333. The Falcons are hitting at a 226. So not a bad offensive game right now for the Falcons, just not having as much production as TCU. Back there to serve yet again is Knowles. Knowles dribbles and sends. Dug out by Jessie Holly Marciniak. Back to Holly. Passing game kept alive. Nichols will send up and pass back to Knowles for a free ball. Walls. Holly tries again. Dennison digs that out clearly. Set up perfectly for Adams, who has to get it over to a diving Walls. Jessie Holly on the tip, but was ready for it was TCU. Katie Clark will tip it. That was long. I thought for a second they were going to rule a tip, but they will not. 21-18 for the Horned Frogs.
Well, Clark appealed, but she didn't. She looked at one official, looked at the other, and she's like, yeah, there was no real tip there. She's just, doing the typical player thing where, you argue that you didn't do the mistake.
Kirsty Shaw to serve. Up, over, dug out. Miscommunication, but kept alive. Sent over for a free ball. Kidwell gets there. Marciniak. Holly. Dug out. Nichols on the tip. Just to the net. Holly wins it. 21-19 now. Kirsty Shaw will go back to serve again.
And, yeah, that right there, the putback by the Falcons right there, that was an absolute miscue between, I think it was Knowles and Nichols at the net. They both just kind of made a mistake of saying, oh, you're going to get it, oh, you're going to go, oh, nobody got it.
Shaw sends across, dug out by Swafford. Kept alive for the moment by Shaw, but up and out of bounds. Kirsty Shaw, whose family's in attendance tonight, not having that bad of a game herself. Kirsty Shaw, 1 assist, 7 digs. No kills or anything like that taken, but still a very good defensive player. Back there to serve is Katie Clark, up and over, dug out by Walls. Marciniak on the tip drill, gets dug out by Knowles. Sends over, that hit the net. Kidwell immediately signals, hey, I didn't touch that ball. 4 touches, and BG will get to the red zone, now just 2 points behind TCU.
And continue to grind this out, not going away. They're hanging right there, but if that run's going to come, it needs to come now because they have run out of time to wait any longer.
Holly up and over, dug out cleanly. Nichols sets up, blocked at the net. Marciniak gets the block, but it goes inbounds on the Falcon side. 23-20 in favor of TCU.
Yeah, she had a block, an assister there that probably, I think, would have fallen, but unfortunately she went alone. There was nobody there to help her, but if she had somebody to her left, that would have been a good block.
Mckenzie Nichols sent over. Kidwell. Nichols. Waggle keeps it alive and has to just get sent over by Dennison. Marciniak tries again on that deception, but TCU's ready for it. Joust at the net, but no Falcon ever got there. Waggle just thought it was going to go into the net. Falls straight down, 23-21.
She kind of mistimed her jump there a little bit. I don't think it was blocked. Yeah, no, it was just a bad set by Danny Dennison. But still, you credit the Falcon blocking there. I don't think that one was going to get over anyway based off Saubert being there, but still, not the greatest of hits.
Nichols sets up, blocked to the net by, looks to be Sauber and Marciniak. Holly digs it out. Marciniak sets up for Sauber, who's blocked at the net. We got set point yet again for TCU. Bowling Green, in order to get extra sets, now has to play absolutely perfect and score 3 straight points. To serve is Berkeley Baker from Dallas, Texas. Went to Trinity Christian High School. Baker up, dug out by Walls. Marciniak to Meyer. That's in. It looks in to me.
They called it
but
out.
They called it out. Coach Tomich doesn't appeal at all. Just gets up, walks across, and TCU is going to get set number 2 here in Bowling Green. 2-0 now in favor of the Horned Frogs over Bowling Green, and Bowling Green is going to need to come up with something here during this little bit of a timeout between the second and third sets. Couple updates of stats as well as a score update from Colgate and Boston College. First stats from this game. Leading the way in kills is Caitlin Meyer, but Katie Clark is right there. Both have 8 kills on the match. Leading the way in assists is Nichols. That's Mckenzie Nichols of Texas Christian University. She has 26 assists. Typically, it's Isabel Marciniak leading the way with that. She's got 22 for the Falcons. And then leading the way in digs is Danny Dennison with 12. Her counterpart, Julia Walls, is the leader for the Falcons, has 9 digs for the Falcons. Again, 2-0, 25-21. TCU takes that second set. And we will go ahead, step aside for a break between the sets. You are listening to NIVC Volleyball.
Here at the NIVC volleyball tournament here. It is the Stroh Center, the host for this one. Meanwhile, you take a look at another NIVC matchup, one that will directly affect this, well, not directly affect this one, but the winner of that one between Boston College and Colgate, currently tied at one set apiece as they go into their third set. Winner of that one gets the winner of this one between the Horned Frogs and TCU, who are currently leading 2-0 over the Bowling Green State University Falcons. But we've seen this story written up before, where the Falcons have been down 2-0 and they've come back to win against a team that was absolutely dominating them. That was, really early in the year, the first game of Mid-American Conference play against the Ohio Bobcats in a very similar fashion. Bobcats were blocking them left and right, Zach, much like TCU here is with their 8 blocks. The Falcons, though, need an answer for that as they are struggling. Meanwhile, Shaw serves this one up and over. It's going to receive there on the back line. Set up left side attack by Swanson. Marciniak and Holly run into each other, but Walls cleans this one up, and so Holly puts it over for the free play. On the attack, here comes Adams, and Adams will get the kill from that left side of TCU after Shaw isn't quick enough to get down for the dig. 1-0 TCU.
And a lot of what I noticed last night against the Mastodons, there's a lot of miscommunication between these Falcons right now. Not a lot of communication other than what's coming from Katie Kidwell. Service error there by TCU helps out a lot. But if you're going to be a good, successful team, you've got to have that communication. And right there, Jessie Holly and Isabel Marciniak ran into each other, and it was just not good. You got to communicate better.
Mckenzie Nichols committed that service error. Now Dennison receives the Holly serve. Nichols setting up in the middle here on the attack. That was Waggle, and Waggle finds it very close, but does get that one right in there on the back line. Finds it, creaks it right in on the line. Now it's 2-1 TCU. On the side out, TCU will bring in Berkeley Baker rather, to serve. Berkeley. Baker puts that one up and over, received there by Shaw. Marciniak going left side here to Meyer, tipped by the block, dug out by Baker, kept alive there by Nichols. On the attack now, it's going to be Knowles, and then off the block, it rides the net right into the pin, and that's just been the kind of night for the Falcons. They just can't seem to get the good rolls. 3-1, Falcons trailing by 2 here to start set 3, already down 2-0. Baker serves this one up and over again, received there by Icabelli. Now it's going to be Kidwell again. This one comes right back on the dig. She tries to put it back down, caught the net though, and Dennison digs. Here comes the attack, and it's a good attack there from the right side. Now TCU goes up by 4-1. TCU with the 9-17 record, 4-14 in their conference, proving that that record is not them. With the thrilling 5-set victory over the Red Hawks of Miami last night, and now them absolutely taking over here in currently the third set, already leading 2-0 as Meyer gets the kill. A net violation called here on TCU. Meyer still gets the kill, and TCU, they are a good team, and they're playing like it here. And again, a lot of them thought their season was going to be over. A lot of people thought the end of their season was going to be a loss, I believe, to Baylor.
To Denver, I believe. They played in their tournament to Denver.
You're thinking of the wrong team. You're thinking of Purdue-Fort Wayne.
Oh, I am thinking of Purdue-Fort Wayne. My mistake.
This one drops here on a bad set by the Horned Frogs there.
You were right.
Now 4-3.
Donovan was right. I apologize.
But here TCU is playing in the NIVC and making every little bit of it count. Received here by Baker from the serve by Kidwell. It's going to be on the attack. That's Knowles, dug out by Shaw. Marciniak going here to Meyer, left side. Beats the block, Knowles digs. Nichols, right side. On the attack, that's Waggle, and Waggle puts that one down as Icabelli can't dig. 5-3. Back to serve, Danny Dennison. From Huntington Beach, California, attended Edison High School. The libero played in all currently 8 sets for the Horned Frogs in the NITC. Dennison digs the dump move there by Marciniak. Flipped over there by Clark, jousting in the net. One by Clark and falls after the initial dig by Sauber. Now it's 6-3 TCU. Back to serve, Dennison. Again, she'll serve. Ended her season with 15 service aces in the regular season. She's a good server. As this one goes over to Meyer, and Meyer will now get that one down for her 10th kill of the match. That's a pretty good number, except when you compare it to her 9 errors. That is part of what has been hurting the Falcons is not just really the errors, but Meyer in particular, she is their best offensive weapon, and TCU is cued in on that. Dennison receives Marciniak's serve. Nichols has to chase this one down. It's flipped over by Waggle, who tries to go cross court from right to left, and it goes too far. Now Falcons are back within one.
And this is exactly what you are drawing up if you're the Falcons, just clawing back little by little. It doesn't have to be in big chunks, but you need to be ready and right on top of it, or else your season ends.
Dennison receives this one, so Nichols goes in the middle here to Clark, and Clark off of Icabelli and finds its way past the back line. 7-5, TCU Horned Frogs back up by 2. Back to serve, Swafford. Bella Swafford attended Lyndon B. Johnson High School as Icabelli receives her serve. Nindrova, she's blocked, dug out by Walls. Marciniak going left side now here to Meyer. She's blocked, she digs. Marciniak going in the middle here now to Sauber, dug out by Swanson. Her correction, Swafford. And then on the attack with no tip, goes a little bit too far past the back line. Side out BG after that one just carried too far.
Danny Dennison of TCU is not happy with that call, but it was the right call. I didn't personally see a tip, and Donovan and I are sitting right here, and that clearly went out of bounds.
Yeah, Knowles credited on the attack error there, and back to serve Meyer. Doesn't serve a lot, but they're going to go ahead and let her serve. Normally it's Haberlin that serves for her. She does get this one up and over. Swafford. Nichols now setting up the left side attack for Knowles. Dug out by Sauber, right back at the net. Put right back down. Hits the net, though, and Walls digs. Marciniak now going over here to Holly on the right side. Holly puts a little bit too much air under that one, and TCU lets it go. That one did not miss, and you see the message here from Daniela Tomic, just calm down. 1 point at a time. You can't think about set 4 till you win set 3, and you certainly can't think about set 5 until you force set 4. So going to be put up over here by Knowles, received by Meyer. This is going to be hit there by Indrova, but it'll be dug out by Dennison. Right side attack, that's Clark. Good diving save there by Walls. Put right back down, saved by Marciniak. Sauber going to Meyer here. Meyer, backline attack, dug out there by Swafford. On the attack and hitting it right down to the net, but oh, it's blocked. Actually, it was just blocked there at the middle of the net by the Falcons, so a couple of good efforts go a spoil there after the Falcons managed to block that one out of bounds, and it has literally just been that kind of night for the Falcons. Back to serve. Knowles received there by Holly. Marciniak going over here to Holly on the right side. Dug out there by Knowles. On the attack, that's Adams. Adams dug out by Walls on the dig. In the middle here, Sauber hits the net. Dug out by Dennison. On the attack, Adams again, and she gets this one to fall off of Sauber's arm. 10-6, timeout, Daniela Tomic and the Bowling Green State University Falcons as TCU. It's really been kind of like a couple steps forward for the Falcons, then a lot of steps back, I think, in this third set, trying to find some sort of offensive groove against the Horned Frogs.
Much like a rock climber, you're just trying to climb up that mountain, trying to find the footholds when you can, but it almost seems like every time Bowling Green finds a foothold, it just falls out from underneath them. The Falcons not having a lot of help offensively. Yes, Jessie Holly has been able to help out Caitlin Meyer a little bit, but no other Falcon has more than 4 kills. Not getting a lot of help in that regard. And also mentioning 9 errors by Caitlin Meyer alone. 15 total errors by the Falcons. So of those 15, 9 belong to Caitlin Meyer. TCU has almost completely neutralized Caitlin Meyer's efficiency in this game. And that means, much like a good basketball team or a good baseball team, you gotta find another playmaker to get going. And Bowling Green just hasn't found that. And that being said, Katie Clark, number 11 of TCU, we mentioned it going into the game as a player to watch, and certainly she's lived up to that, hitting 10 kills on 20 attempts, hitting perfect 400, has 5 block assists, 1 solo block to her name, responsible for 13.5 points. If Bowling Green's going to get back into this game, it's got to start after this timeout right now.
The Falcons do coming out of that timeout now with Marciniak, the setter, Holly, Indrova, Sauber, Meyer on the back line with Walls. TCU goes back to serve, and it'll be Audrey Knowles joined out there with Swafford, Adams, Clark, as we see Walls receive this one. Marciniak going here to Holly. Holly dug out by Swafford on the back line. Knowles, the other player out there for the Horned Frogs, is dug out there by Walls. Sauber in the middle goes with the tip, and trying to dig that one out on the dive was Knowles, but it just kind of rode up her arm and then down. 10-7, Falcons get the side out. They get back within 3. Back to serve will be Julia Walls.
That was big for the Falcons, and now you got to keep playing it 1 point at a time. It's going to be hard, but that's how you have to approach it to try to force a 4th set.
Adams is blocked at the net there on her left side attack. It's Androva and Kidwell, and that's something the Falcons will need to do better and continue to do now as they continue on to this one, as they have been dominated in the block category. Back to serve Walls again. They now lead 10-8. Or sorry, the Horned Frogs lead 10-8. Knowles receives. Nichols going to Adams here. Tipped at the block. Holly digs. Marciniak going to go in the middle here to Kidwell. Dug out by Swafford. Nichols left side to Adams. And Adams finds the back corner going cross court on the left side of the Falcons court. It's now 11-8.
And the Falcons came out firing in the first set, and ever since, it looks like more and more gas is just leaking from the tank. It's tough to get back into this, but you have to keep trying.
Clark back to serve, puts this one up and right into the net. That'll help. Number 1 momentum killer, in my opinion, is those service errors, and TCU just nails one right into the net off the hand of number 11, Katie Clark. That's really the only blemish on her night here today. She does have 2 errors, but she's making up for it with 10 kills, hitting 400, just 6 total blocks, 1 solo, 5 assisted. And now we're going to see Hannah Lowby come out and serve. Looks like we're going to go to that 6-2 attacking system now for the Falcons as Lowby sets this one up badly. And as she did, Holly had to run it down, and now Lowby just sends it over for free play. On the attack, tipped there by Holly and Kidwell, and then out of bounds.
Yeah, interesting look here, putting in both Macy Linney and Hannah Lowby. Both players not getting a ton of time during the regular season, just based off of positioning. But it's certainly a good choice here to go a little more offensive.
Just looking for that spark, and it is a very offensive lineup as Wall's the only real defender out there. As we see this one go cross court now here to Holly on the left side, kept alive there by Swafford, and then just not put over there by Adams. Adams tried to do the awkward angle dig over the net, and it just does not get over. TCU Horned Frogs choose to touch it a 4th time as opposed to just letting it drop, so Holly will get the kill on that one regardless. Holly serves up and over, received by, I think that was Knowles who got the first touch, and now put over by Adams. Dug out there by Lowby. And Holly puts this one up and over, and this one will be called out. And side out TCU, 13-10. It was close, but it did look like it just went out of bounds.
Yeah, it looked really close. Surprised that Coach Tomich isn't even asking her team of whether or not it was in. It was close, but probably a smart idea not to challenge it.
Berkeley Baker goes back to serve, puts this one up over, received by Holly low, and then it's received and goes right back on the other side of the net, but goes on the wrong side of the pin between the right pin of the Falcons and the first official, and that's out of bounds.
1 more point here by TCU. I wouldn't be surprised if Coach Tomich uses that second timeout.
14-10, TCU up by 4. Baker serves again, and right off of Jessie Holly's head. Literally, she went down to dig that one, and she just went off her forehead. 15-10, TCU up now by 5. Back to serve. Berkeley Baker again. Puts this one up. It'll get over. Received by Walls. Lowby, rather, going to go here to Meyer on the left side. Tipped at the net, and it's going to be knocked down there. Nichols kept it alive for a moment, and Baker could not slide in and dig. So side out BG, they get back within 4, but they are looking for answers right now as miscues have really hurt them here today. They still have plenty of time to try to come back in this one, but they do trail 2-0 here in this 3rd set. Received by Baker. Here comes the setup on that right side by Adams. It'll be thrown down. Holly, after Lowby's dig, gets this one over to Meyer. Dug out. Here comes a set in the middle there. Past the block, and down it goes. It's Knowles with the kill. 16-11. TCU back up by 5 again.
I really like what Coach Jill Kramer is doing with TCU right now, keeping her foot on the gas. That 3rd set, you typically see that the team that is down play a lot more aggressive. Bowling Green is trying, but TCU is just neutralizing them at every turn.
Holly receives that one badly. Good job there by Linney to keep it alive, so Walls can send it over for the free play, and there's a touch here, though, on the attack. And that's another kill for TCU as they go up now 17-11, running away here in this 3rd set. It looking like they're going to take the Falcons in straight sets here at the Stroh Center. Still some time, but Falcons' margin for error gets smaller and smaller as they trail 2-0. Sauber attacks. She's blocked, kept alive. Meyer, she's blocked on the attack, and then it goes off of Meyer's head and out of bounds. Timeout Daniela Tomic, as once again a bad roll for the Falcons results in a TCU point, and that's kind of been the name of the game for the Falcons today. Of course, your best attacker being blocked multiple times, and having 11 errors doesn't help with Meyer now once again hitting 0 on 40 attempts with 11 and 11 in the kills errors category, but just a lot going right for the Horned Frogs and not a lot going right for the Falcons right now.
Yeah, and on the stat sheet it shows it, but as a broadcaster, as a fan of the game, as any way you see it, yeah, 11 kills is great, but 11 errors is essentially saying, you know what, I'll take my points, but I'm going to give you the points right back. It's like a draw of sorts, and it's really neutralizing Caitlin Meyer. And then, yet again, there's been no real help on the offensive side. It's just been error after error after error. Yet both teams are tied at 17 errors. It's been a lot more offensively dominated by TCU. Again, a lot of credit to Coach Jill Kramer and her staff for game planning correctly against this Falcons team. We came into it and little concerned that after 5 sets, TCU is going to be a little tired, of course, being from Texas, not being from the Northeast area, having to deal with sickness, dealing with Ohio weather. As anybody from Ohio understands, Ohio weather, it's terrible. And then coming
Depends
out
on the time of day, but
5 straight.
Depends on the time of year.
And then 5 straight sets, goes and beats Miami to come into this game. Bowling Green took 4 sets. And again, I'm getting a lot of flashbacks back to that MAC championship tournament. Absolute domination against Central Michigan to a slow deterioration in that game, and then giving it their all against Ball State. Right now, they have to play perfect as much as it's going to hurt to try.
Dennison back to serve here for the Horned Frogs, up 18-11, leading 2 sets to 9 as the Falcons try to cling on to their last bit of life. Linney puts this one over. Baker Diggs. Here comes the setup for Knowles. Knowles finds the back line, and now it's 19-11.
Jelianese Torres is out there right now.
Trying to give some help on that back line. She's listed as an outside hitter, but she's 5'7", can play defensive specialist as well. They kind of use her as a tweener. Torres does receive. Here comes Lenny on the attack from the right side. It's going to be dug out. Here comes the set. Now for Knowles. Knowles tipped at the block, and Lowby can't dig. It's now 20-11. TCU.
Coach Tomic just trying to save what she can. It's so tough to come back from this. It's a 9-point game at this point, but you're trying to make it look better.
Dennison received by Holly. Lowby going over here to Torres. Torres on the attack. It'll be received there by Dennison on the dig. On the attack, hits the net. Dug out, and Lowby goes under the net with that one, trying to dig it up after Walls, and now it's a 10-point set and a 10-point match. 21-11, Falcons trailing to the Horned Frogs. Dennison received by Holly. Lowby going here to Jelianese Torres, who hits it straight down into the net. 22-11. And now Marciniak looks like she's going to get called in here to play and finish this one out.
Gives the senior an opportunity to just try to
here is an interesting look for you. Okay, I would say here's an interesting look. We're going to have both setters out there now, and now they pull Petra Androva out as she substitutes for Hannah Lowby. Now they have to remind Petra Androva on where she's supposed to be in the lineup. As we see Marciniak go with the one-hand deception move to get it back within 10. It's 22-12. Falcons have a big hill to climb, but anything is possible until that final point is won by TCU.
Marciniak playing with a lot of aggression, a lot of emotion right now.
This one put up and over here. It's going to be received by Knowles. Here comes the set and the attack. That one goes down, 23-12. Side out TCU. And we'll see who the kill is credited for, as my angle was cut off by the first official here. Based on the post in my way. That one's going to go around the stat sheet, Ashley Waggle. Back to serve will be Arim Ukar, as she goes and checks in for this one as the benches are getting cleared. Ukar puts this one up and over. Received by Walls. Jelianese Torres tipped at the net. TCU and Sauber jousting at the net. And see how they rule this one. They do rule it TCU point, as I guess Sauber got the last touch. And now it is match point TCU. 24-12 your score here. And TCU about 1 point away from moving on to the 3rd round of the NIVC. Ukhar puts this one up, over, received by Walls. Marciniak going here to Androva, right side, tipped at the net, and it falls. That one falls on the TCU side, and Androva gets herself a kill. Falcons now back within 11. It's 24-13, still match point for the Horned Frogs. Back to serve.
Falcons
Haberlin.
live to see another point here. It's got to be perfection.
Haberlin up, over, received there by Knowles. Ukhar goes to Knowles. Knowles goes too strong. No, they're going to roll it in, and that is point, set, match. Texas Christian University. Horned Frogs will take the Falcons here in straight sets, ending the Falcons season here at the Stroh Center in this second round of the NIVC tournament. And boy, what can you say? Just a dominant game, especially in this third set for the Horned Frogs, as the Falcons get a nice standing ovation here from their home crowd, and what will be the last match for them and the last match for a few players and a few of these seniors, including Isabel Marciniak, Jessie Hawley, Macy Linney, Selena Canigan, alongside Paulina and Victoria Icabelli.
It's emotional out there now. Much as we saw during the MAC championship after that game ended, a lot of emotion out there. It's a sad time for these seniors as their time on this court has come to an end, but you can't get over the fact that they put a lot of heart into this team. Not every team gets invited to the NIVC. Not every team gets to the Mid-American Conference Tournament or Championship. It's good, and Coach Tomich has got to be over there telling her team exactly that as the huddle is going on over there. But you mentioned a great performance by TCU. Some final stat lines for you. 47 total kills by TCU on 113 attempts, bringing them to a .265 hitting percentage on 17 errors, 6 total aces, and 11 blocks. On the Bowling Green side, 32 total kills to 109 total attacks taken, hitting at 119 to go along with 19 errors, 1 ace, 4 blocks. Final stat leaders, Caitlin Meyer did not lead the game in kills. Leading the way was Knowles, Audrey Knowles of TCU, 13 kills on 30 attempts, hitting 300. Next closest player was Caitlin Meyer and Katie Clark. Leading the way in assists was Nichols for TCU with 42. Next closest player being Isabel Marciniak at 26. And then digs was also won by Danny Dennison with 19 total digs, 13 by Julia Walls. Just a great game by TCU. Bowling Green came out with everything they could, but unfortunately was not enough. One last update from Colgate and Boston College. Colgate's up in the third set. That is tied 1-1. So the way the bracket will now work out, TCU will move on and will play the winner of Tulane versus the winner of Colgate and Boston College. That game will be tomorrow at 5 o'clock, and it will be at Colgate University.
Yeah, boy, this NIVC, it's kind of all over the place, when games are played. And, a lot of that is due to availability of court, all that. It is a fairly young tournament as well that's just still trying to find its legs. It's got some pretty good teams in it, though, and, go scroll up here, you see there's still a lot of first-round games to be played, let alone second round. You got Georgia Tech, Alabama, A&M